few days I've been lucky enough to be riding this, the Orbea Wild FS 2023 full suspension e-bike, which I've been lent kindly by Leisure Lakes at Bury, and you can borrow this too. It is part of the demo fleet, so all you need to do is ring up with some terms and conditions and you can borrow this and many other. Back to the bike, it's 160mm travel front and back, float X on the back and 38s up front, all Fox. Shimano running gear, 51 tooth out the back, XT mech, SLX shifters. The brakes are 4-piston brakes front and back, massive rotors front and back as well. Comes in 2 different colours, this one. This is actually the M10, so that's the carbon. Above this there is a team version and also a limited version. This retails about £8,000 and the limited edition is about £11,000. They also do the H models, which is the hide formed aluminium ones, which start at about £5,300. I think there's about 7 models in the range, so you can choose from. You can also customise these on the Orbea website. Some of the features of this bike, it is slightly redesigned from the last model, which I actually had in XL. This is an XL as well. I'll put up the size chart for the height, which relates to this. I am between large and extra large, dead on, and I rode the XL and it did feel pretty good, to be fair. But from experience, the last bike I had, which was an XL, I didn't get on with it and I probably would go for a large, but I would say if you are around 180 to 185 centimeters, go and sit on a large and extra large and see which it feels better. All of them come with a 64-degree head angle, so they are quite long and they are quite loose. This colour's a cosmic, I don't know if you can see kind of the glitter in there. It's beautiful, especially when the sunlight hits it. But anyway, that's enough of the spec. You can look that up on the internet. How does it ride and what features do they get? You'll see steep and deep, some of the features here. This means you can have a long seat tube in there, so some people like a really long dropper and some like a short. You can choose there. That's one of the features. The other thing is with this battery, you can choose if you customize it on the Orbea website for a 750 or 625 battery. There's 900 grams difference in the two, and obviously there's a bigger price for the bigger battery. I would definitely go for the bigger battery. That's what makes this one of the best all-day bikes. Another feature of this is the lovely integrated cables up the top. They call that SICK, Stealth Integrated Cable System. They're always coming up with these acronyms. There are some cheeky grommets in here. There's one there, there's one there, there's one around there. If you're doing internal cable routing, that can really help you out. You can get a visual on the cables when you're fitting those. In terms of sizing, I'm 185 centimeters. This is kind of the sizing it looks for me. Doesn't seem too bad, even though it's an extra large. It feels fine. So one of the features I don't like, which I also mentioned with the last Wild I had, was to get to the lockout and the rear. It's really hard when you're riding, and also in addition to that, when you're trying to set the shock up, the valve, although they have thought about this and it's a movable extended valve, it still is really difficult to get the shock pump on, and I can imagine it's going to wear away the inside of the frame here because it's going to grind against there. It's really difficult to get the shock pump on there. In addition to that, I also found that getting air into the shock was difficult as well. I weigh about 82 kilograms, 85 with a pack on. I put 200 psi in the back of this and it was still a bit on the soft side for my liking. The forks as well, the forks are easy to set up. There is a guide on the back of the fork, and you can see the tuning guide on the Fox website for these shocks and forks. I'm never too keen on these forks out of the box. I always think they need a token. Here's a video clip from me up at Stainburn the other day when they bottomed out. Ooh, those forks didn't like that, did they? Ooh. It was the same with the Trek as well. They really don't have any top end. I think on the rear shot they've actually refined the stroke, so it's supposed to be more supple mid travel, so it should be able to track better and be stable. But for me, they do bottom out quite well, and it is a heavy bike at 21 kilograms, which is 2 kilograms less than the previous one, the 2022 iteration of this frame. But it does still feel heavy, but not quite as heavy as others, so it's a lesser of all evils. Lifting it over 1 gate, fine. 2 or 3, 4, not so bad. After 5 gates, your arms start getting tired. Easy remote to control the power up and down. You can turn the bike on with this. Gives you 5 bars of battery. The red isn't an indicator of battery level, it's actually power. As you go up and down the levels, it starts with green and goes to blue, purple, red. Red being like turbo, I suppose. With your power levels here, as you're running out of power, the light goes white to indicate that it's half power, and then it'll disappear and then move on to the next bar. I never got anywhere near running the battery out on this. I did plenty of climbing. The charging port on this is quite innovative. It's magnetic and you can pull it out and then twist it round. Easier said than done. There you go. And then charge it up, and then when you finish, just flick it back around. Good idea there that you don't leave the charging port open and forget and get dirt in there, so that's a nice little touch. Quite like that the bottom bracket's high on this bike, so you don't seem to catch your pedals too much. The crank's not too long either, so it can pedal through rocks and up the hills and through rocky terrain. I had to go at pedaling up a really steep loose bit and found that the power was almost too much. So sometimes when it's loose, you need to tame down the power to maybe purple or blue, which is like 2 or 3 out of 4. The turbo can feel like too much at times when you're trying to get going. The power is instant. Unfortunately, I've not had a chance to play with the app to see if you can tone that down a bit, but usually you can roll the power increase so it's not there straight away. But this, sometimes you can feel yourself wheeling out on steep inclines. But the power's there if you need it, but you don't always need to use the turbo there. The bike does descend brilliantly and it does climb brilliantly. The 2.6 tyres give it the stability and weight to roll through most things and over things, so you can plough on this bike if you're that kind of rider. It's also got that massive battery in there, which you can't take out, by the way. That's one of their features, that it produces stiffness in the frame. It's supposed to be quieter from that, but from my experience, like the old one, it did make quite a bit of noise rattling around as I was descending. That's not necessarily the motor, that's just the workings of the bike clattering about in the chain, etc. The motor's quite loud when you've got the turbo on and you're pedaling fast. A higher cadence yields a higher output from the motor. Some video of me just riding up a road with it on, and see if you can hear it and see what you think of that. Going back to the shock and the fork again, it's really important, and the motor, to tie this together, it's really important that you get the right balance and you invest time in getting the shock and the forks to the right pressure for you. If you don't, you'll find that if it's soft on the back, whenever you're trying to use full power, it's going to sit in the travel and it's going to just flip you off the back. I do find that the setup of this bike does put you slightly back on there, and I've made some adjustments to the seat and the seat post and the position of the cockpit just to kind of get that weight further over the forward, over the front, so you're not flipping out. So if you get one of these, invest the time in setting it up, because otherwise you're not going to have the best experience, especially when climbing with the full power on. Overall, would I get one of these bikes? Yes, it might be my new favourite bike. It rides brilliantly up and down, you can get everywhere. It's heavy, but it's not as heavy as the other bikes, so you can get it over the gates. I've used it to go exploring up Stainburn, there'll be a video soon of that, and it was absolutely epic. It was so good, I loved it. It's converted me back to full fat e-bikes, I would say. Overall, I definitely have one. Great bike, great for exploring, great for enduro descending. You could do laps on this for days. The battery never seemed to get anywhere close to running out of it, and I was out on it, giving it loads, turbo up the hills, everything, and it just ate it. It was brilliant. So if you want a bike you can ride all day, this is the one with a big battery. If you want one to go and do laps on, this is the one. Exploring, this is one. It kind of ticks all the boxes, really. I'd like to say a big thanks to Leisure Lakes Berry for lending me this bike. You can borrow other bikes from Leisure Lakes as well, e-bikes and normal e-bikes. Just give them a call and ask what the deal is. For watching, I'll see you in the next one. If you've got one or you're getting one, leave some questions and comments down below, and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can.